Good afternoon, everyone. So, for today's, we're going to discuss Chapter 1, Historical Antecedents of Science and Technology. So, what are the table of contents on this topic? So, we're going to discuss Asian Age and Middle Age. Number 2, Scientific Revolution. Number 3, Industrial Age. Number 4, 18th and 19th to 20th century. Number 5, Information Age. What are the key concepts on this topic? 3H system is system of classifying Asian ages into groups based on two developmental stages. Scientific revolution, period of great scientific intellectual achievements that contributed to essential changes in scientific investigations. Industrial revolution, period of complex technological investigations that eventually replaced humans and animal forces. Information age, or what we call digital age. The period characterized by the change from traditional industry to an economy that is founded on computerization of information. So let's go. Christian Jørgensen Thompson, an archaeologist and a curator of the National Museum of Denmark, Copenhagen, who introduced the three-age system in early 19th century through his book entitled Guide to Scandinavian Antiquity. In Asian Age, there are three age systems: the Stone Age, Bronze Age, and Iron Age. In Stone Age, weapons was made of stone, wood, bone, or some other materials aside from metals. It's divided into three main periods: the Paleolithic, Mesolithic, and Neolithic. Stone period are based mainly on technological advancement and not on actual date. Paleolithic period, or also known as Old Stone Age, is the longest phase of human history. In this period, they believe that humans evolved from ape-like creature to a true Homo sapiens, just like us. They also have hunters and gatherers. The hunters are responsible for hunting such as pigs, boar, fish, etc. And gatherers are responsible for gathering resources such as stones, wild plants, sticks, etc. They live in small bands and were either nomadic or semi-nomadic, moving constantly or migrating between temporary settlements, respectively, depending on food availability. Australopithecus is one of our earliest ancestors. They create simple tools such as stone choppers. It believed to be made more than a million years. Neanderthals were cavemen known to use fire, stone tools of flake types for hunting, and bone implements. The Paleolithic era, also known as the Old Stone Age, lasted for thousands of years. During this time, early humans were nomadic hunter-gatherers. They used simple stone tools and relied on hunting animals and gathering wild plants for their survival. They even left us amazing cave paintings that give us a glimpse into their lives. As time passed by, our ancestors entered the Mesolithic era or the Middle Stone Age. In this period, people began to learn fishing along rivers and lake shores, making pottery and use of bow. They made use of stone tools known as macroliths, which were comparatively smaller and more delicate than those palacolites. In this era, humans began to develop more advancement tools such as bows and arrows and fishing nets. They also started to settle in one place for longer periods. Finally, we arrive at the Neolithic era, also known as the New Stone Age. In this period, cultural and technological development was based primarily on agriculture. It's also characterized by domestication of plants and animals. In this era, humans made a groundbreaking discovery: agriculture. They learned to cultivate crops like wheat and barley and domesticate animals like goats and sheep. This allowed them to settle in permanent villages and develop pottery for storing food and other goods. Also, in this era, smelting was popularized or being adopted in that way. It helps them improve their living in a essential way. In conclusion, the Paleolithic era was all about survival through hunting and gathering. The Mesolithic era saw the improvements in tools and the shifts toward settlement. And the Neolithic era marked the birth of agriculture and permanent communities. Bronze Age. In the period of Bronze Age, tools and weapons were already widely made with bronze. They also have smelting. It's a process of extracting metal from or involving heating and melting. Sumerians of Mesopotamia discovered that a hardened, stronger metal could be made by blending copper and tin. So during the Bronze Age, people began using bronze, a metal alloy made by combining copper and tin. This innovation allowed for the creation of more advanced metals, weapons, and even ornamental objects. During the Bronze Age, which began at different times in different parts of the world, people discovered how to mix copper and tin to create a new metal called bronze. In 3769 BC, bronze was already being used, but it's uncertain where and how it was first discovered. In 3500 BC, Bronze Age began in Bohemia, and people in the Mediterranean and Eastern European areas used bronze. In 2500 BC, the Indus Valley Civilization was a big trading center where bronze tools, weapons, statues, jewelry, and toys were found. In 2400 BC, the Longshan people of China used bronze for making tools and weapons near the end of this period. In the year 2300 BC, Bronze Age started in Europe. Initially, only a few tools were made, but by 1200 BC, bronze replaced stone tools entirely. In 1700 BC, the Shang dynasty in China used bronze extensively and established bronze working communities. In 1615 BC, the Mycenaean civilization in Greece used bronze until about 1100 BC. Around 1640 BC, Egyptians started using bronze after being invaded by the Hyksos. The year 1500 BC, bronze was discovered in Western Europe, but Northern Europe adopted it later around 1000 BC. So around 1200 BC in and Central and Eastern Europe, bronze swords and helmets were made in these regions. In the year 3700 BC, the Chu dynasty continued using bronze working techniques after the defeat of the Shang dynasty, until iron was introduced after 7700 BC. In 3769 BC, Chinese introduced bronze working to Korea around 1000 BC. In 3500 BC, Japanese used bronze and iron tools possibly brought from South Korea. These dates and regions show how bronze was used in different parts of the world during the Bronze Age, contributing to advancement in tools, weapons, and cultural developments. The Iron Age. The Iron Age period began at 1500 BC to 450 BC. In the Iron Age, humans discovered the use of iron. They learned to smelt iron ore and create stronger tools, weapons, and agricultural implements. This period marked another significant leap in human technological advancements. In conclusion, the Stone Age saw the rise of early humans, the development of tools, and the discovery of agriculture. The Bronze Age brought about the use of bronze and the creation of more sophisticated tools. Finally, the Iron Age introduced iron and its transformative impact on technology.
Middle Age. The Middle Age, also known as the medieval period, was a time in history when societies experienced advancement in science and technology that had a big impact on areas like healthy farming and money. This period is divided into two smaller parts: the Dark Age and the High Middle Age. The Dark Ages were the first half of the Middle Ages. They start after the Roman Empire fell and ended when the Renaissance began. During this time, the Roman Catholic Church became very powerful but was criticized for the being superstition and corrupt. Feudalism, a system where king and nobles had a lot of control, also become important. People call it the Dark Age because not many new scientific or cultural things happened during this time. It was also a period of economic, intellectual, and cultural decline. There were a lot of problems like not having enough food, troubling disease called Black Death, and wars like the Crusades. However, things start to change during a High Middle Age. Europe moved from the Dark Ages to High Middle Ages because of a revolutionary invention called the printing press. It was created by a man named Jonas Gutenberg. His invention made it possible to print books faster and easier using movable typing. This helped uh, spread knowledge, new discoveries, and literacy during the Renaissance in the Europe. The printing press also played a big role in a religious movement called the Protestant Reformation, which caused a split in the Catholic Church. To summarize, the Middle Age was a period of history divided into Dark Ages and High Middle Ages. The Dark Ages were a time of decline and challenge, while the High Middle Age saw progress and innovation due to invention of printing press, which im- improved the spread of knowledge and contribution to the religious change.
Middle Age. In pre-Columbian America period, there was three tribes groups, the Mayan, Aztec, and Incas. Mayan civilization. The Mayan were an ancient indigenous civilization that thrives in Central America, primarily in the region that is now present-day Mexico, uh, Guatemala, Belize, Honduras, and El Salvador. They built houses using poles and leaves of palm trees, which provided shelter in the tropical climate of the region. One interesting aspect of the Mayan civilization was their use of cocoa beans as a form of currency. Cocoa beans held significant value and were used for trade and economic transactions. This reflects the importance of cocoa in Mayan culture, as it was also consumed as a beverage during religious and social ceremonies. The Mayans were advanced in mathematics and developed a decimal notation system. They used a symbol for zero represented by an oval shape, which was a significant mathematical concept of the time. They also used dot and dashes to represent other number. Additionally, the Mayans had a sophisticated understanding of astronomy and used astronomical observation to create their calendars. Aztec civilization. The Aztec were a pre-Columbian civilization that existed in what is now modern-day Mexico. They built impressive structures including high templates as place of worship for their de- deities. These templates were grand architecture feats and play a central role in Aztec religious practice. The Aztec had a complex society with a hierarch- hierarchical structure. They had a system of tributes collection where compute terrorists would pay tribute to the Aztec Empire. This system contributed to the economic and political power of the Aztecs. Inca civilization. The Inca civilization flourished in the region of South America, mainly in present-day Peru from the 13th century until the arrival of the Spanish uh, conquist- conquistador in 16th century. The Incas were known for their advanced agricultural practices, particularly their use of terraced field and irrigation canals from farming. They transformed mountainous landscape into productive agricultural areas by constructing terraces that prevented soil and facilitated farming on steep slope. The Incas also developed a highly accurate calendar known as the Inca calendar, which considered of 365 days. They had an understanding of astronomy and used celestial observation to mark important agricultural events and religion ceremonies. In addition to their agricultural and astronomical achievements, the Incas create a vast network of roads and bridges, known as the Inca Road System. This network, this network faci- facilitate, facilitated communication, trade, and the movement of armies throughout the Inca Empire. Overall, the Mayans, Aztec, and Incas were sophisticated civilization that made significant contribution in various fields such as agriculture, uh, architecture, mathematics, astronomy, and cultural practices. Their legacies to continue to captivate and integrate the people today.
Scientific revolution. In this topic, we're going to discuss five laws or models that our great scientists invented. Number one, Universe Model by Nicholas Copernicus. Nicholas Copernicus proposed a model of the universe that suggests the sun is at the center and the earth and other planets orbits around it in circular paths. The arrangement of planets and stars is determined by their distance from the sun. So that means the sun is at the center, the earth and other planets orbit around it in circular paths. Number 2, Law of Planetary Motion by Johannes Kepler. Johannes Kepler discovered that planets move around the sun in elliptical orbits, not perfect circles. He also found that planets closer to the sun move faster than those farther away. So that means we're not moving in perfect circles, but rather in elliptical orbits. Number 3, Work of Motion by Galileo Galilei. Galileo Galilei made important discoveries about the relationship between distance, velocity, acceleration, and the law of inertia. He used a new scientific approach that involved defining concepts, expressing the relationships, making precise hypotheses, deducing consequences from those hypotheses, conducting experiments to test the consequences, and analyzing the result in terms of ideal situations. Number 4, Law of Motion by Isaac Newton. Isaac Newton formulated three fundamental laws of motion. A. First law of motion, or what we call law of inertia. This law states that an object at rest will remain at rest, and an object in motion will keep moving at the same speed and direction unless an unbalanced force acts upon it. B. Second law of motion. This law states that when a force is applied to an object, it will accelerate. The accelerate depends on the force applied and the mass of the object. C. Third law of motion. According to this law, for every action, there is an equal opposite reaction. When an object exerts force on another, The second object exerts a force at the same magnitude, but in the opposite on the first subject. 5. Law of Universal Gravitation by Isaac Newton. Isaac Newton's law of universal gravitation states that every particle in the universe attracts every other particle with force. The strength of this force is directly proportional to the product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between their centers. So that means every particle in the universe has a force.
Industrial Revolution. Textile. During the Industrial Revolution, there were important inventions and machines that made the process of weaving and spinning cotton easier. The fly shuttle was a machine that made weaving faster. The water frame helped create strong threads. The rude power loom allowed for mechanized weaving. And the cotton gin was a machine used to separate cotton fibers from the seeds. 2. Coal, iron, and steel. During the Industrial Revolution, advancements were made in the production of iron and steel. Coke, a type of fuel, was used for smelting iron and making it less malleable. The blast furnace was developed to make iron smelting faster and cheaper. The padding furnace helped maintain low temperatures during the iron-making process. The manufacturing cylinder methods were used to construct iron bridges and ships. Open-heart steel was a type of steel that was finer and of higher quality. Transportation. In the field of transportations, several innovations revolutionized the way people and goods move. Mile-long canals marked the beginning of canal building in England. Steamboats were introduced and could travel long distances up to 20 miles. Macadamizing improved road durability by using better construction methods. Puffing Billy was a steam-powered locomotive that could pull 8 coal wagons at a speed of 5 miles per hour. The steam locomotive with steam blast was even faster and could run at a speed of 29 miles per hour. Steamships were able to cross the Atlantic Ocean, making long distance travel by sea more efficient. 4. Communication. Advancements in communication technology were made during this time. The electric telegraph was invented, allowing messages to be sent and received over long distances using electric wires. The telephone was developed for long-distance communication using wires and radio signals, and the radio allowed for wireless communication using electromagnetic waves. Lighting. Lighting also underwent changes during the Industrial Revolution. Gas lighting became popular using gas to create light. The Bunsen burner was invented, which used gas and air to produce a hot blue flame. Later, electric lights were introduced using bulbs to provide illuminations. Agriculture. In agriculture, practices and inventions were developed to improve productivity. The seed drill helped farmers plant seeds evenly in the soil, leading to better crop growth. The marling practice involved adding a type of fertilizer called marl to the soil. To make it more fertile, stock breeding, which is selective breeding of livestock, became widespread among farmers to improve the quality of their animals. These advancements and inventions had a significant impact on various aspects of society during the Industrial Revolution, making processes more efficient and changing the way people live and work.
18th to 19th century. Physics, Charles Augustin de Coulomb, Law of Electrostatic Interaction and Fictional Electrostatic Instrumentation. Alessandro Volta, Cell of Cell of Battery. Andre Marie Ampere, Ampere's law to tell how electric current produces magnetism. Paul Ehrman made first measurement of earth magnetism. Michael Faraday, magnetism generates electricity. James Maxwell, unification theory of electricity and magnetism. Heinrich Hertz, discovery, detection, and product of radio waves. Wilhelm Röntgen, discoverer of X-ray. Chemistry. Daniel Gabriel Fahrenheit, first mercury thermo- thermom- thermometer. Benjamin Franklin, distinguished negative and positive charges. Anthony Laurent de Lavoisier made chemistry a science, perform combustion experiment. Henry Cavendish, idea that oxygen combustion produce water. John Dalton, atomic theory. John Joseph Thomson, discoverer of electron. Humphrey Davy, John Jacob Berzelius, and others, discoverer of new elements. Auguste Laurent and Charles Hergand, pio- pioneered organic chemistry. Biology. Robert Hooke, discoverer of cell. Anton van observation and discoverer of microorganism. Carolus Linnaeus introduced binomial nomenclature of classifying species. Mary Anning discovered first Inu fossils. George Cuvier founded comparative anatomy as a science. Robert Brown discovered cell nucleus. Crawford Long, use of ether in surgery operations. Wilhelm Wundt, introduced of experimental physiology. Charles Darwin, theory of evolution. Louis Pasteur, vaccine against rabies. Daniel Hill Williams performed the first open heart surgery. Martinus Belleric discovered first no virus. 20th century. Physics. Albert Einstein, theory of relativity. Ernest Rutherford, discoverer of proton. Wolfgang Pauli, principle on ar- arrangement of electrons in an atom. Ernest Heisenberg, Marty's versions of quantum mechanics. Uncertainty principle. Erwin Schrödinger, wave version of quantum mechanics. Paul Dirac, relativistic quantum mechanics of electrons. James Chadwick, discoverer of Newton. Otto Hahn, discoverer of nuclear fission. John Bardeen, theory to explain. superconductivity. Murray-Gell-Mann heavy subatomic particle classification. Quark concept. Carl Alexander Muller and Jonas George Bianchi discovery of high temperature conduction. Astronomy. Edwin Hubble presentation of galaxy as huge aggregation of star. Idea of the expansion of universe. Clyde Tombaugh discover of Pluto. Carl Kuda-Jaskai radio waves discovered from space. Georges Lemaitre public- publication of the original Big Bang Theory. George Gamow Halper and Robert Herman new version of the Big Bang Theory. Jocelyn Bell Burnell discover of pulsars. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin first walk on the moon. Alan Guth inflationary universe theory. Milk Hale Milk Hale paper chromatography. Jaroslav polography. Piobas Levene discover of deoxyribose sugar of DNA. Neil Bartlett idea that noble gases can make compound. Leon Philip discover of stratosphere. Andrea Mohorovicis discover of earth crust and mantle boundaries. Alfred Wegener continental continental drift theory. Motonori Matuyama presentation of the reversal of earth magnetic field every 100 million years. Charles Francis Richter earthquake intensity scale. Harley Hearst theory of seafloor spending. Walter Alvarez idea that dinosaur extinction was caused the striking of large comet on Earth. Biology. Hugo de Vries idea of occurrence of mutation. James Watson and Fraction Crick's DNA structures. Stanley Cohen and Herbert Boyer beginning of genetic engineering. Martin Klein transferring of function gain between mice. Alan Wilson and Russell Higuchi production of the first clone from an extinct species. Ian Wilmot sheep cloning using stomatic nuclear transfer. Hugo de Vries, Carl Coren, and Eric Von the discover of the law of genetics. Dmitry Dmitry Ivansky and Marcus Bellrick discover of viruses. Rudolf Jaynes introduction of DNA into a mouse embryo.
Hi everyone, my name is Francis Dave Albo and I'm going to discuss the information age. Johann Schadenberg, a German blacksmith and publisher who introduced movable typewriting in Europe. established what we call the Gutenberg era, which is ay, responsible for shaping the nature of society and its underlying institutions. Pre-Gutenberg world, before the invention of the printing press by Johann Gutenberg in the 15th century, the distribution of information was challenging. The text mentioned that it was not possible to widely disseminate precise and replicable information to a large number of people. Information could be recorded in books, scrolls, or tablets, but the process of producing producing these materials by hand was laborious and time-consuming. As a result, access to information was limited to a small elite group, often comprising religious leaders, scholars, or those who had the resources to commission or acquire such materials. This restricted access to information had implications for institutional development, as the text suggests society tended to be dominated by religious and feudal political systems, which relied on narrative storytelling or hierarchical structures as means or propagating or controlling information. But then the Gutenberg Revolution happened. It's like when the internet and the World Wide Web come into existence. This made possible for people to upload and download different kinds of media like videos, audios, and image. It also allowed individuals to publish and share information. This revolution we made this revolution made passing information much faster and easier. It changed the way we communicate and share knowledge, just like the printing press did long ago. The rise of digital age. 1. Computer. The computer was discovered by Charles Babbage. It was initially designed for doing mathematical calculations and making simple decisions. In 1964, Doug Engelbert invented the first computer mouse, which was made of wood. 2. The Internet. The Internet was created by Benton Cerf and Robert Kahn. When it was first used, one of the main challenges was the speed of data transmissions. However, the discovery of fiber optic technology allowed for the rapid transfer of billions of bits of information per minute. 3. World Wide Web or WWW. The World Wide Web was discovered by Sir Tim Berners-Lee. In the 1990s, it was primarily developed for commercial purposes, allowing easy access and sharing of information. 4. Electronic mail or email. The discovery of email is controversially claimed by V.A. Shiva Ayadurai, an India-born American scientist and entrepreneur. He began building the system in 1978 at the age of 14. 5. Facebook. Facebook was launched on February 4, 2004 by Mark Zuckerberg in his fellow student at Harvard College. Initially, membership was limited to Harvard students, but it later expanded to include students from other universities in the Boston area, Ivy-Lee College, and Stanford University. 6. Twitter. Twitter was created by Jack Dorsey, Noah Glass, Bridgestone, and Evan Williams. It is a social networking website where people post and interact with short messages called tweets limited to 140 characters. It has been referred to as the SMS of the internet. The iconic bluebird logo is actually named after basketball legend Larry Bird, who played for the Boston Celtics. 7. YouTube. YouTube is the largest online destination for sharing videos and is the third most visited website. It was created by Chad Harley and Steve Chen on Valentine's Day in 2005. 8. Google. Larry Page and Sergey Brin, both PhD students at Stanford University, developed Google as a research project in 1996. It has since become the most widely used search engine on the internet. Interest, Interestingly, Google was initially called Backrub. 9. Instagram. Instagram was created by Kevin Systrom and Mike Krieger in October 2010. Initially known as a codename, the name Instagram is a combination of instant camera and telegraph. It reflects the platform's purpose of sharing instant photos.